Hypothetically Intentional, where we ask the question, what if we set intentions with everything we do? I'm your host, Michelle Albers, and today my intention is to go where the wind blows me. I think you can probably hear it in my voice that I am not feeling great. I'm literally just coming off about a 24-hour fever. And for some reason, I'm feeling compelled to record. And I may never release it. We'll see where it goes. We recently had a weekend event, what I used to call summits. This one was the art of manifestation. And it's so interesting these weekends because where I think we might go and then where we actually go are often close, but just a little different. And I think that speaks to our ability to be in the moment and go where the room is guiding it. And going into the summit, I was thinking, oh, we're manifesting us. Like we're manifesting the authentic self. And what I realized very quickly, I mean, yes, that's true. But really what we were manifesting was healing. We were manifesting connection. We were manifesting a sacred space. And sure, that gets us to our authentic self, but that's too far out. Like you got to start closer in. And it was an amazing time together, realizing that we were able to be in a room that felt truly safe, where there was, I say zero resistance, and maybe that's not accurate, but I do feel like it's accurate. Like there was no push against being vulnerable. There was no push against being seen even. Although there was definitely like some pockets of, it feeling terrifying maybe. But in the best way, right? Like we're human, to maybe reveal or even discover and uncover parts of us that have maybe been dormant for a while, or maybe have been hyper protected from us for a while. And always to be part of witnessing, holding space for, guiding, mentoring, those moments where people spend an entire weekend dropped into themselves, even though they might be thinking, why don't I want to run right now? I feel like I'm supposed to run right now. It's a pretty amazing thing. And so as I sit here talking about, well, in the moment, the summit and part of the healing journey, after a day yesterday of sleep off and on all day, as much as I could. And here's the thing, I had to cancel pretty much this whole week because I have not been well since Tuesday, and I'm recording this on Friday. And Wednesday and Thursday were absolutely brutal, and I just remember thinking, I always tell my clients I'm going to be transparent with you. And sometimes we just need rest. And that means that we have to maybe not fulfill a duty, right? Or maybe not show up in places we really want to show up at. And that was the case for me this week. I canceled appointments and sessions that I was really looking forward to. And also, my brain was legit not working. I would have done no good in those moments. But I think my point in that is it's human to want to push yourself. And then there comes a point where there's just no choice but surrender. And I find those moments a little bit funny for me in my life, just because so often it's like how I'm forced to slow down. Like the way that I really will slow down is if I get sick. So I should not put that energy out there. I should be mindful of that. So this healing journey, I feel like we all have our own unique stories and our own unique wounds and our own unique ways of living from those wounds. But yet when you get a group of people in a room who are in the depths of the soul healing work, we realize while the stories might be different, the pain points and how they reveal themselves in our lives is not all that different. We can have very unique and different stories, and the pain that shows up that requires healing, those wounds are very similar in how they show up in a room. In a room full of people that are willing to share, we can all find a bit of ourselves in everyone else's story. I have moments when we do trainings or workshops or these weekend events where we'll be in one person's story, and I just kind of scan the room just to see, are people engaged? Are they tuning out? Where are they at? And I even pause and ask sometimes. And the answer is always a resounding, relatable. I have 3 pages of notes. Maybe not 3 pages of notes, but sometimes. And keep going. This is very helpful. That wouldn't be true if we weren't somehow similar. If there weren't similarities in the process of healing or the pain points of the wounds, then it wouldn't be relatable and we would tune out. And that has not been my experience in the groups. And I think it's because we all decide in some way or another, perhaps even before we get there, there's a subconscious piece of us that knows that we're ready. We're ready to reveal and to uncover and to witness ourselves in a new and different way, and perhaps in one of the most terrifying ways, and that is in a group of people. But there is something, and there is something so powerful about being in a group of people who can hold space like nobody's business. I mean, you can say anything. It has been my experience that you can say anything in that room, and it will be met with love and compassion, not judgment. And that's pretty fascinating to me and beautiful. It's something I strive to create. Until I did my own healing, I didn't feel like I experienced that. I lived a very guarded, protected life. And the healing journey over the past, I'm going to say 14-ish years, but I actually think I started doing the work without a whole lot of guidance, maybe 10 years earlier than that. So let's just say I've been on this healing journey for 2 decades. It's a pretty fascinating thing as you really see yourself from a place of love and compassion and inquiry and curiosity versus a place of judgment and guilt and shame. And I'm speaking about me right now. I'm not speaking about clients or anything like that. And as I said before, our journeys, while the stories might be profoundly different, the journey to healing, to me, in my witnessing clients and the work I've done with people it's not that different. The journey to healing is going to require curiosity and creativity and courage and a willingness to, I don't know if I want to say take down the walls, maybe a willingness to soften, surrender, and observe. I think if we don't observe, it's pretty hard to find awareness. And if we don't have awareness, it's pretty hard to know where to begin to heal. If we don't have awareness, it's pretty hard to begin to know, where do we start? How do we heal? What might this look like? And I am not a big believer in, let's see how deep we can go, how fast. I think sometimes taking the peel the layers of the onion approach, one thing at a time, mindfully with awareness and connecting to divine, calling in our higher self, can be a way to actually bring ourselves to healing much more quickly, which sounds a little strange, but I think sometimes when we're bound and determined to get there and get there fast, that's a form of avoidance in some way. And the attachment to that feels like it's going to be harder to soften and surrender. So I think that's my 2 cents on healing journey, at least where I'm at today. Mindful of the fact that my brain may not be at full capacity right now because yesterday was feverish. But I just, for some reason, felt compelled to get on the mic today. And I feel like witnessing other people doing their work in their own way, I find more similarities than I do differences. And in some ways that is so flippin' beautiful, because it makes me feel like we're not alone. And there's a lot of reasons I feel like we're not alone, right? I have my connection to divine. I have my connection to my spirit guides, like pretty much my whole divine counsel. I have connection to my higher self. I have connection to my humanness. And I have the ability on some days, maybe even most days, to have discernment between what that all might look and feel like. And that has been some time to figure out. And I know I still have a ton to learn. But I'm pretty fucking grateful that I've learned what I have through experience, through my teachers and mentors and guides. And that because of that, because of them, and because of how I chose to show up all those years ago, meaning I did show up, I didn't run, I just now have the most amazing opportunity to hold space for and guide, mentor, offer healing, self-healing opportunities for others. I feel like I'm a big believer in education and learning the skills from qualified experts. And I'm also a big believer that those experts need to have lived experience for it to really have the same resonance or the same vibration, if that makes sense. Like some of my most powerful teachers have gone through some shit, you know? And I don't know. I think it's pretty fascinating. I mean, to be fair, some of my most powerful teachers, I don't even know their whole story. So maybe they haven't gone through a lot of shit. But I would add to that, they've definitely lived. And they're teaching what they lived. And that I find beautiful and powerful and effective, if I'm being honest. For me, to have somebody who can say, I understand, that matters. So yesterday, as I was literally laying in bed trying to sleep with a pounding headache and a fever, I had pockets of time where I was like, you really should go do some work. You have some things that need to get done. And then I just started laughing and was like, okay, well, that's not coming from your higher self, that's for sure, because your brain isn't even functioning properly. Anything you do, you would need to do again. And I just was reflecting on that, like the need to do. I was like, where is this coming from? Is this a guilt thing? Is this a shame thing? Is this a just how I show up thing? And I think the answer that's the most truthful might be it's all of those. But the awareness that comes with it, like I could giggle at that and I could recognize just how silly It really was. And I think that's pretty powerful because I didn't used to have that awareness. Um, and sometimes not having that awareness means that then when it does come at you, it comes at you fast and hard. And it's like, oh dear, I don't know if I can handle this momentum of the force that's coming at me right now of guilt and shame and, beating myself up, so to speak. But I reached out to my clients. I reached out to, or just realized, some of the things that I reached out to myself basically is where I was going with that. Like some of the things that I had on my radar that I wanted done by a certain time. I was met with compassion with all parties, right? Whether it be my clients or myself. Ultimately, eventually, I was met with compassion. My clients were very gracious. There was no qualms from them. Myself, I was the hardest client. And it was not a long battle. It used to be a long battle. So it's funny how now sometimes when I'm sort of in that place where I get challenged, which is often, it's beautiful how I can find the awareness in it and actually see it. And if I can't see it, I know pretty quickly that I need to lean into my resources, do like those checks and balances and be like, all right, for some reason I can't get to clarity in this one. I'm going to need some help. And I think that's a key part of healing too. Like, yes, you're the one that has to do it. But also, you don't have to do it alone. I saw a quote the other day, and I don't know who said it. I don't think they gave credit to who said it. But it was like something like, spending time with people. Oh gosh, spending time with people who don't support you shows you can do it alone. And spending time with people who do support you shows you that you don't have to. And I was like, oh, dang, if that hasn't been my life lesson for a few times in this go around, just like, just sometimes I should be more discerning. But that is the case. I think sometimes when we're telling ourselves untruths, we can get ourselves out of alignment and or keep ourselves out of alignment. And when we can drop in and be really clear and accurate in how we're viewing things and reminding ourselves that there are a lot of layers and moving parts to these things, and to look and to explore. I've learned so much in changing it from I need to, or I have to, or I must find that thing that is my pain, or that's causing my pain. Very well aware of the pain, but the thing that's causing my pain, and instead go into, I would like to explore this and be creative with it and be inquisitive about it and just explore it and do it with some guidance with people you trust, but also over time, learn that you are your wisest teacher. But if you're not connected to that, that doesn't feel true. And for me, when I wasn't connected to that, I'm not sure I believed it ever could be true. But if my experience with myself and others tells you anything, I'm telling you, it's possible. You can be connected to that place within you that does know better than the you that's telling you some of this stuff that just is so absurd. And I have a very absurd voice in my head at times. And now I recognize that voice. And sometimes it's easier to tap into the wise part of me. And other times it's easier to tap into the absurd part of me. And here's the thing. I love both parts. They teach me things. And that's pretty cool. Why else am I recording today? What else am I supposed to say? Breath. Gosh, when it gets compromised, you remember how grateful you are for it. I feel like that's true for everything. Gratitude is interesting that way. People talk about gratitude, and many times it's flippantly, like, just be grateful. It'll change your life. Yeah, and I feel like so many times in the healing process, like for me on my journey, like the number of times it took like that thing that just stops you in your tracks. Like for me, this cold that I have, that just, the fever just took me out for 2 days. But it was required for me to slow down, right? And then I have this cough that's with it and congestion, and I'm really grateful that somehow I can still take a deep breath right now. And I'm grateful for that breath. And like when we have those pain points and then we recover from them, how much gratitude that can bring in. I think sometimes the key is, and as I'm saying this, it's like, oh, I can also be grateful. I mean, I guess I just said I was, but like, be grateful that even though my breath doesn't feel as easy as it normally does, I can be grateful that I can take a full breath. I really appreciate you tuning in for today. I hope that this message helps in some way. Bye. Be you every day.